Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome to this week's recap video. It's been a really wonderful week. We got our second wave of pumpkins harvested, which was incredibly rewarding. I was so happy about that project. What else happened this week? We got a bunch of rain.
Yeah.
Lost my Felcos. Found my Felcos. What other things of note?
Sounds about it.
Yeah. Just a lot of really fun projects around here. Planting and cleanup and such. A couple of store announcements before we jump into the videos. So Dram had a pretty significant production issue earlier this year with their half-gallon watering cans, which is what I use the most. I have two in the house, one in here and one in the Hartley. I really like these. So we have red and yellow back in stock finally, which we haven't had for a long time. So if you are one who's been holding out for one of these colors, we're going to do 20% off these for now so that you can take advantage of the sale price that we've been running on other Dram stuff.
If you happen to be a
red
Kansas City Chiefs fan.
Or an Ontario, Oregon fan.
Oh, yeah.
These are our town's colors, cardinal and corn. Is what they call it.
Cardinal and corn?
Cardinal and corn. So anyway, that and then also...
We don't have cardinals, though.
No, we don't have cardinals.
It's just cardinal red, I guess.
Yeah.
All right. Well.
Okay, and also we're putting baskets on sale too, which Jordan from down at the warehouse, she painted a couple, and I think they are so cute. I've never thought about painting these for Halloween.
Yeah.
I'm going to have the kids do this.
It's awesome. It's a great...
Like a little craft.
Yeah, craft to do with kids.
Yeah, she did a really, really good job on that. So anyway, Ken brought these up. Ken, why did you bring this full of candy? Because now I've already had like 3 Snickers out of here today when I was in here earlier. Oh, man. Anyway, baskets, half-gallon Dram, watering cans, and red and yellow. There you go. First video from this past week was Perennial Tied Up and Tree... Tied Up? Perennial tidy up and tree pruning. It is the end of the day, you guys. I don't know if you can see, like, to Aaron's side, like the little slice of window in his frame it's dark out. It's evening. It's been a long day. Perennial tidy up and tree pruning plus planting a sugar thyme crabapple. In that video, I pruned up the crabapple out in the south garden.
Yeah, looks way better.
It looks so much better. I knew that it needed to be done, and I mentioned it a couple of other times. I just thought, nope, today is the day we're going to go get that done. And then we just did a little bit more tidying Artemisia out there that just needed to be trimmed off of a walkway. Just little things like that, and that adds up. When you chip away at little stuff, then all of a sudden it doesn't feel so overwhelming.
Yeah.
You know? And then we planted one of the sugar thyme crab apples, which we have one left to plant. And that's, I think, the last of our big stuff that we're going to...
Do you know where you want to put it?
No.
Well, we're going to have a little bit of space to plant once we get that like berm island done.
I know, but when will that be done? I don't know.
I don't know.
Yeah, I can find a spot for it. I haven't really wrapped my brain around it. KK said, I recently planted a sugar thyme. The shoots are insane. I have one growing straight up out of the top of the tree, and I swear it's like 4 feet tall. Can I cut that off? Or will that top the tree? If it's like a water sprout, it depends on what the shoot is. Is it part of the like... crab apples, they don't really form like a strong leader.
No.
Sort of situation. If you have a really weird errant branch, I would probably trim it. And you can tell a difference, like water sprouts or things like that look different than the rest of the tree. They come off the trunk and they'll just like cruise straight up. And they look more green and more pliable than the rest of the tree. It has a different structure to it. Lynette said, will more needles grow on the branches where you remove them from the pines? Oh yeah, so I did try to de-needle one of our pine trees, which I don't know why it's casting exactly, except for a lot of our pines normally do that. It's usually a spring thing though, so it's probably a water stress, I'm guessing. I'm guessing that area is too compacted for that pine, so it might be a situation where it's on its way out. We'll just have to wait to see what happens. I did root around in the soil and it didn't seem like overly, but I don't know what's going on that far down. Yeah. It's hard to tell sometimes. So I'll just continue to watch it, and sometimes they will grow new needles where they've casted them out. Jen said, did you ever find your Felcos? Yes, we did. Actually, Aaron did. We were on a garden stroll like a couple nights after this project, and I scoured the land that we had been in. I went through the burn pile 3 times, thinking that's somewhere in here. I know it is. And then the kids and I went round and around and around, and I had the kids off the gator. We were all looking, and then you spotted the handles.
Yeah, well, they're red, so.
They are. I don't know how much of it you saw. You said it was just a little piece.
Not a lot. They were pretty, like, compacted in the grass. Mm-hmm. So
they were embedded in the lawn. Yeah. So we did find them. Thankfully, it was a fairly new pair, and I was sort of bummed out that I had like just lost them. I don't normally do that.
Yeah.
It's not a real
Well, it's a big property, and you could probably set them on the back of the gator and just took off.
I think I set them on the front,
Oh.
and everyone's like, check at this minute. It was on the front end of the
Oh.
gator, and as you drove off, they probably flew off somewhere, and they certainly did. Bonnie Brown said, "Oh man, do you work hard, girl? I love your videos every morning. I've seen quite a few more than once." That's awesome. I have a question for you. Do you like all the battery-operated garden tools available today? I have a little chainsaw, electric loppers, and electric hedge trimmer. Man, do they save me time and also the stress on my hands. Yes, absolutely. And when I get ready to do more perennial clean out, I'll take out the hedge trimmers and just mow them down with the hedge trimmers instead of, using my Felcos for everything. Really, all the battery-powered stuff has been awesome. I don't know of one thing that I would say
We happen to
isn't worth
be
it.
a DeWalt family, but really whatever brand, it doesn't matter. It's just like, I think they're all pretty good for the most part. I have heard a lot of people that have bought Ryobi stuff and said to me that they wish they wouldn't have gone the Ryobi route.
Why?
I know that they're cheaper. I have no experience with them. So it's just what I've heard from other people who are like, yeah, I got it. They're okay. But like, I'm not sad that we went the DeWalt route.
No.
So I don't know.
I've been eyeballing a battery-operated scroll saw lately. Might be purchasing one of those here soon. I need it.
Yeah.
You get your tractor.
Yeah.
I get the scroll saw. S. Stevens said, "So great getting started on fall cleanup. Question, are you still planning on building a lean-to on the backside of the white barn? It would seem more centralized than the pole barn." I think so eventually.
Yeah, maybe one day.
Now that we have the pole barn, it almost feels
Not as necessary.
not as necessary.
The problem is that if you do a lean-to, you're going to have posts.
Yeah.
And we have been using that space behind the barn a lot. Just the
Yes.
open space. It's been really nice. And it's pretty useful when you drive an actual vehicle around the North Garden to get out.
Yeah.
So we just have to be careful with that because that well house is not in a great spot. It'd be better if it were placed a little bit differently.
Sure.
But you're not going to dig a new well. It's
Right.
like, that's where it is. You just are going to do what you do.
Okay, Crystal said, "Love your videos. I've learned so much. Question, could you use some of the crabapple branches in an arrangement or a wreath?" Absolutely. But we've got so many that I need to trim. And I wasn't ready to do a project with those that day. So they went into the pile. And I've been eyeballing the rose hips in the back, in the scrubby growth in the back of the dirt lands. I could do something with those here soon. I don't know. I haven't been really in the mood to do that, and I don't try to force myself if I'm not in the mood to do that. Right now, I've been so focused on trying to clear out plants and not winter over as many things that's been my main kind of goal. Is to do that. Robert Parker said, "You took after the crabapple tree hard. Looks good. Will the chickens not eat the fruit from it?" They might. They've got so much going on for themselves. Oh, those chickens. I found all of them, all 7 of them, eating off the kale in that little pot by the back kitchen door.
Oh, really?
That has my ornamental pepper and a little Carex, and it looks like it's just eaten down to a nub.
Yeah. Well, they love it.
They're testing me.
Well, you can put it back
I know.
in the coop.
You know what? I don't mind the plant eating. It's the poop, honestly.
Yeah.
There's no way to keep him from pooping all over the sidewalks, and it's
Right.
gross. And there's not a really good way to get a hose around in there and to wash it all off. So their days are numbered outside. We'll just let them enjoy for a little while longer. I suppose we could fence a little area,
Yeah.
around the back of the coop, just extend their run a little bit.
But their run is big
Their
enough
run
anyway.
is big. I know, and we toss stuff in there all the time.
Yeah.
So I just always feel bad because they're always at the door.
Yeah.
They're very social, those chickens. There's a couple of them that'll follow you around,
Yeah.
like
they'll
a
come,
dog.
When I walk out sometimes,
Mm-hmm.
they'll come and find me, and then I think they realize it's me, and they're like, "Just kidding."
Yep.
They just move along. But they did come quick.
Yeah. Julia said, "Question, when a plant has powdery mildew, will it have it next year after being cut back, or should you just get rid of it? Will it spread to other plants?" It can spread. You can spray it. If it's in a situation like the peonies that I cut back, I think I cut those back the same day we did all the crabapple. This day. I think we did it that day. That's probably why you're yes. asking me this question right now. Totally not tracking at all. Anyway, yes. So when you cut back the plant and get rid of it, the likelihood of it returning, there's some things that are more prone, and peonies are prone to it. So it's likely it will probably have it next year, but the things around it will not. But it's always a good idea to cut back those things or spray those things, especially if it's earlier in the season, to take care of the problem. 2, Corgi Mom said, pruning always scares me a bit, but everything always comes back better. Question, if you can grow hostas in Eastern Oregon, why not rhododendrons? They are such a great shrub year-round. Both hostas and rhodies have a similar growing zone. I've always wondered why you don't grow them. It's not our zone, it's our soil. We are so high pH, and rhododendrons, azaleas, all those things cannot handle it here. Blueberries, they just don't do it here. I wish they did, because it would be really fun to be able to try out some of those other beautiful things out there. Lacey Fern said, question about the peonies and the powdery mildew. We get a lot of mildew here in the Puget Sound area on roses, squash, pumpkins, and of course peonies. Do you ever worry about inhaling the mildew when you're cutting things back? I find myself holding my breath when I'm removing mildew.
Have you ever once thought about that in your entire life?
Not one time in my entire life, but I'm not dealing with it on a scale you are. If all of those things that you've listed all have powdery mildew, I mean...
You know, living in a dry, arid climate, that's like a thing that I have no knowledge of.
Me
Mold
too.
and stuff like that. It's like, it's not taught here.
No.
Because it's not, I don't know, if you like live somewhere where there's no bears or you know, it's like, you don't learn about bear safety because it's like, well, what are the odds of that happening? Zero.
We think about black widows.
Yeah.
Like, we know what to check for and where to check for black widows.
Yeah. But I don't know anything about how mold and how bad it is. I mean, because there's no examples of like black mold growing in your home. It's just too dry.
Yeah. And most of the time when my things get powdery mildew, I don't even spray them because it usually isn't, for as dry as it is here, it's not something that's going to run rampant through our garden.
Yeah.
It kind of just takes care of itself, and then I get rid of the worst offenders at the end of the season, like the peonies. Next video was bringing in tender plants for the winter. We've been working on that slowly this past week, refreshing containers and planting Veronica. GGG said, love your explanations and beautiful flowers. In the beginning of this video, you walk past your black table and chairs. Is that wrought iron? Yes. How do you keep it so clean, black, and shiny? Her name is Marla, and she is a godsend, honestly. So we have somebody, and we've always had somebody help us with house cleaning since about year 2 of our marriage.
Yeah.
Because we realized that was the only thing that we thought about.
Way before kids.
Way before kids, yeah. We agreed that we would rather work extra hours to pay for somebody to clean the house at the frequency that...
Well, do you remember we both had jobs where we could basically get unlimited amounts of overtime, just about. And we were both kind of like, yeah, we would much rather work at our jobs than clean the house.
Yeah.
It just made sense.
But here's the difference. We've had several house cleaners throughout the years because we've been, doing this for a while. Marla is the best person we've ever had, ever. And we've had some really great ones too that I've gotten along with really well. But Marla is just like next level.
Yeah.
Like next level house keeper. I've never once asked her to clean the patio furniture. Guess what she's doing out there cleaning it. She does things that I have never even had to talk to her about or ask her to do or anything. She's just really good. Anyway, that's why it's clean. Sandra said, I'm having a problem with nut sedge, aka nutgrass, in my flower beds. Any advice? There is a product. You have to get a nut sedge specific spray. And I will get a name for you right now.
Sedge Ender.
Is that what it's called?
Oh, I don't know. That's what I would name it.
Oh, I think you're right. I think that was in the back here. It's called Sedge Ender. It's a Bonite product. Called Sedge Ender. I would get that.
It probably was back there.
Yep, I would get the concentrate, mix it up at the highest ratio you can, and then follow the instructions for frequency. It might be a several application sort of process. Lisa said, how are the New Gen boxwoods better than Sprinter? Does New Gen have the cat pee smell to them? No, they do not.
None of them do.
No.
The Sprinter doesn't either.
No. But here's the difference we've noticed so far. Now, this is talking from like 5 months of experience with the New Gens. We haven't seen them through a winter. We haven't seen them through a whole growing season. But the Independence New Gen, I would swap every single boxwood on our property out to that one if it continues to grow and perform the way it has for us in the past 5 months. What I noticed the difference, we've only experienced 2 of the New Gen varieties. We've got the Freedom and we've got the Independence. Independence stays a little smaller, but the leaves are deeper green, they're thicker, very waxy, and the spider mites do not seem to be attracted or as attracted to that variety over the Sprinter and the Freedom so far. Freedom and Sprinter
They look kind of the same.
They look like the same plant.
The growth habit seems
It's
the same.
Yeah. So, I mean, but we haven't experienced either one of those new varieties for long enough to really give a really educated opinion on how they do, and they're going to do differently for everybody. But what I love about the Independence is their lateral growth inside the plant is so strong, and they're just a stronger plant so far. And what we've learned too, through sharing just our experience so far this year with the people at Proven Winners, is like the Freedom Boxwood and Sprinter are meant to be shorn all the time. Like, I think in order to get a nice strong plant, you want to shear it very frequently. And that kind of helps bolster the plant up. But I don't really want to have to do that. We can't during the heat of summer. It just burn the heck out of the tips of the boxwood. So to have a variety that doesn't need that we can do twice a year shearing, that's what I'm looking for. So far, Independence is the best. And then we also use a lot of Winter Gems, and I love those. We also use a lot of Green Mountain cone boxwoods, and I really like those. So those would be my top 3 boxwood varieties. We've also got North Stars, which is my first experience. We just planted them this summer, which are supposed to be...
No, we had North Stars before around the kitchen flower bed.
You're right, we did, and they were awesome.
They were fine. They had no issues with them,
they
but
were
they were
like
small.
A micro hedge,
Yeah.
and they naturally stay smaller. What is the one we have around the green velvet?
Yeah.
And then I also have one called Julia something.
You also have...
I have Mount Bruno's in pots.
What's the other one called?
Green Towers are the worst.
Don't get a green tower.
Don't buy Green Tower boxwoods.
Hold on.
Where are you thinking?
It's the variety that you planted in front of the flower shed.
Those are the North Stars.
No, that's a different variety. It's not North Star. It's...
Then forget what I just said about planting North Stars this summer. What are they?
Neat Ball.
Neat Ball, you're right.
Neat Ball is what it is.
But we did have North Stars, and I loved the North Stars.
Yeah. I'm not... Does Proven Winners even sell them still?
I don't know. Yeah. And there's a variegated one called Wedding Ring that I've never... Oh, see, Neat Ball is a new variety this year. I got my hands on them last year. I just didn't figure out where I wanted to plant them, and I was so thankful to have them in my possession this year to plant in the ground.
So North Star to me, I don't even know if people are like following along with all this, but North Star looks to me like a smaller version of Green Mountain.
Yeah.
Would
but a
you
more
agree
round.
with that?
I agree with that, yeah.
Yeah.
Darker, more matte leaf,
Yeah.
not the luster that the others have.
It's not bright, and it's not, no luster,
Yeah.
no glossiness to the leaves.
But a workhorse.
Yeah, but good.
Yeah, so there you go. Try to unravel all of that boxwood information. Laura said, thank you for all that you and Aaron do to encourage and educate newbies. You're all amazing, and I've learned so much over the years. Thank you for saying that. This is my first autumn season with a small greenhouse, an 8x12. What is the ideal temperature to maintain during the cooler weather? Should a certain humidity be maintained as well? It depends on what you're trying to have in your greenhouse. In our... in this greenhouse, the plastic greenhouse, it usually maintains like between 50 and 65-ish.
Okay, so like if we're talking ideals, I think you'd be looking at 70 and 70.
Like an interior temperature.
Yeah, if you could keep it all year at 70 degrees and 70% humidity.
70% humidity?
Yeah, don't you think? Most of the
I
plants
wouldn't like that.
You had in there would probably love it.
Probably. Yeah. But our greenhouses in the wintertime and in the summertime, when we're dealing with weather extremes, we just heat or cool to take the edge off. So in the Hartley, this summer, for about the first half of the summer, we didn't cool it. And then I did a really deep clean one day, and I was like, I don't want the windows and doors open with all the things, all the animals and the dust and stuff blowing in here and all the leaves and junk. So at that point, we closed the doors and windows, and I started cooling it a little bit. But again, it was just to take the edge off. It wasn't staying super pleasant. It was pleasant enough. And then in this greenhouse, we don't cool this one at all. But in the wintertime, we heat it to where it just doesn't go below 50, really. Mm-hmm. On sunny days, it can get really warm in there. And then the Hartley, same thing. We just keep it at a steady, that one we keep a little warmer. I want to say it's mid 60s, high 60s in there. And then it can heat up on sunnier days.
Yeah.
Yeah. Eloise said, I love all your tips. I think we're in the same zone. I live in Caldwell, Idaho. Yep, we are in the same zone. You're 25 minutes down the road from us. I think we're close. Anyway, can you tell me what you use to separate your peonies and keep them upright? I saw a video a while back that you had some kind of a grate. Yeah, you can get different types of plant supports. And there's one that's it's It's like a grow through grid. I'm not sure the exact name, but there are some that come with the grid, like a round grid, and then there's 3 stakes that you put in the ground, and then you set the grid on top, and they can grow up through it. There's lots of peony rings. There's lots of different options out there. And if you've been watching our videos for a while, you know that I am the worst at staking anything up in my garden. It's like one of those chores I hate to do. So I try to plant things that I don't have to stake, and I don't stake my peonies so far. They've been doing really well. Margaret said, I like how you top dressed your 2 boxwood pots with pine cones. It looks great and hopefully protects the plants as they overwinter outside. Those begonias are gorgeous. Does Russell like the chickens, and do they all get along together? They get along, but I don't think the cats are enamored with the ideas of the idea of the chickens.
They watch them.
They watch them, but if the chickens come too close to them, they're just like...
They'll back away.
Yeah, but slowly. It's kind of funny. Christina said, hi, Laura. Question, are there any perennial begonias? Not to my knowledge, at least not for our zone, which we're a zone 6.
Well, it'll just live in like Southern California and you're good, right?
Yeah. Well, just not in our zone,
yeah.
Like colder zones. Mary said, well done. What breed are the chickens? So we have 2 copper Morans and 5 buff Orpingtons. The Morans I got as older chickens. We bought them from a friend of ours, and they're both molting. Oh, they look so rough, but they're still like laying eggs every single day, and they're a little bit older too. And then the buffs are just the sweetest chickens ever. Could be because we've hand raised them, which has been such a fun process,
yeah.
But they are so sweet. Brian and Tammy said, nice pot clean out, and you're right, very simple and clean. I've got to ask her, are all those pine cones from your yard? They are. Where do you buy the pine cones? Just put in some spruce trees and you'll be good to go. Chris Warden said, I know you've put spring bulbs in pots, but what have you top dressed them with? Is that necessary to top dress them? Nope, they don't need to be top dressed. I just plant them at the right depth that they're supposed to, like 6 inches deep, and they usually come up just fine. Next video is planting up 6 pots with evergreens and pulling 2 dead trees. You win some and you lose some. It just is the name of the game.
We don't lose too many.
We don't.
But the amount of things we plant, it's like you're going to lose some.
Yeah. And sometimes you just don't know why. And those 2, we just don't know why.
Yeah.
Which is a bummer, but honestly, getting especially that front one out, I'm like, oh, yes. I'm glad it's gone because it opened up that space and we can put something with a different color in there. First question from Johan Olbeck. How close was I? Thanks for all the great videos you post on your channel. You're welcome. The videos are really inspiring, and they seem to help with the worst of my gardening itch. Question, I noticed that you sometimes have plugged containers. Have you ever tried filling the bottom part of the container with perlite or gravel to prevent the pots from getting plugged and waterlogged? I've seen some people do not recommend this method. Do you have any advice on how best to plant a pot or container? I don't recommend putting anything at the base of your containers, but I do recommend lifting them up off the ground. So
it might not hurt to do a small layer of gravel, like small.
I think the roots will still make it.
You think?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, we could run some experiments if you want, but I don't know.
I know some people say, to fill up the bottom with like pop cans or they'll say a lot. They'll say like a third or even a half of the container. And I think that's bad.
Yeah. But you're talking like a small layer. If it's small,
I'm talking like a couple inches.
Yeah, I think the roots would still make it through.
All right.
Yeah. I think lifting your pots up off the ground on pot feet, like we use bricks a lot, and you can kind of put mulch around them so you don't really see it. I also recently loaded up on pot feet, and I need to start getting those out and getting them underneath pots because, as you can see, I don't have them all on pot feet yet. But raising them up off the ground so that water can freely go through, and you could also monitor roots a little bit better. They kind of air prune too. If they come out the bottom of the pot, they're going to hit the air, which will dry them up and kind of naturally air prune the root system, as opposed to being nice and nested into a wet, moist, whatever, dirt or whatever it's on, and then they'll just root right in. Susan said, oh my gosh, I love watching the chickens wander around. Please let them out more. I've never had chickens. How do you get them back in the coop at night? The wonderful thing about chickens, and one reason why I don't have ducks, because I love ducks, is that chickens go back to their house at night. All you have to do is go shut the door. It's so nice. They're always on their roost at night. You can count all 7 of them. Like on our way back into the house, I'll go close the coop door. But ducks, on the other hand, you have to go like herd them in. They won't naturally go back to roost. So that seems like a little too much maintenance right there. And we've got, which we really should tinker with, we've got the automatic chicken door. We had it put into the actual coop part to where you can have it set for dawn and dusk. It'll open at morning when the light hits it, and it'll open so the chickens can come out, and then once it's dark enough, it will close, and it's usually closing after the chickens have already gone and back into the coop.
Sure.
That way we wouldn't have to shut any door. They'd just be all...
We should also throw a camera in the chicken coop. That'd be really easy to do. Just keep an eye on them.
We could.
I want to have a camera everywhere.
Benjamin would be watching that 24/7. Yeah. Cheryl said, do you think since you had a nibbler on the one rose tree, you maybe should wrap or somehow protect the lower trunks of the other tree as a precaution? I don't know that I want to do that, just because it seems like such a one-off sort of thing to happen. That doesn't happen very often. I mean, it's like the first time I've noticed that happening in this garden. Not to say that it couldn't happen again, but I don't know. I usually don't get too worked up. The nice thing is that I do have an extra rose tree in the high tunnel. So we'll winter that over, and we'll see how this one comes through the winter and replace it if we need to. Angie said, what alternative blue evergreen would you recommend as a blue spruce replacement? So sorry you lost yours. I wanted to plant one in my landscape, but keep hearing that they don't thrive in my area, zone 7B. I tried, zone 7? You should be okay. It's like at the higher end of most, right? What about a blue Atlas cedar? Those are gorgeous. 6 through 9 on the blue Atlas cedar. The hoopside, like the hoopside blue spruce, is a zone 2 through 7 or 2 to 8, it says. You should be good with blue spruce. I would try it. You can start with a little one and just to like test it out and see what happens. Marie said, thanks for giving us inspiration every day. Help, please. I can't find this clip in a video last week when you stopped and described a section where angel face pink angelonia had mixed with another plant, creating a beautiful favorite mix. What was the other plant? I planted my first angelonia and going to add more next year. Thanks for taking the time to answer this. I don't have any angelonia in the garden. Was it our video you were watching?
It was maybe a video she saw last week of something that we recorded a year or two ago.
Oh, that could be. Let me think. Where did I have angel face pink angelonia? I think I had some along the stone walkway in the south garden last year, but I can't remember what I had around it. I had some coleus. I did stop recently and I showed a spot where we had the Stormburst Superbena, the White Knight Lobularia, and the Pink Cloud Supertunia, which is a new pink Supertunia, and that has been beautiful. Sorry, I'm not sure exactly what spot you're talking about. Tammy said, do you ever have pots crack or bust that are left out all winter, or do you do something special to prevent that? I left a terracotta pot out on the ground last year and the side of it busted out. I have had that happen maybe 2 or 3 times in all the years I've been gardening, which is basically most of our married life. I haven't really had any issues. Terracotta is probably the most tender, though. Of anything you could leave outside, terracotta would be the one that would break, for sure. Lisa said, we love boxwoods but live in zone 4. Which would be a better substitute? Tater tot, Anna's Magic Ball, or Midnight Sun Weigela? Oh, tater tot. Yeah, easy. That's an easy choice. Or do you have another suggestion? I think you should go with tater tots. You'll get the boxwood look. They are softer. They smell good, which I love. And you get the evergreen sort of look. Now, the Anna's Magic Ball, that one's more yellow, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I would go with the tater tot. I love that one. Alita said, I love the pine cones in the base of the plant. I'm wondering if they would deter squirrels. I have so many and they're knocking over pots and digging everywhere. Ooh, what do you think? I would give it a shot for sure. I would use pine cones though instead of spruce cones. I use spruce cones in my pot and they're very soft and they're like longer and more slender. Pine cones have that little sharp edge on them. That might be a little bit more helpful. Almost like putting like plastic forks sticking up out. You know, you'd have a little bit of a deterrent like that. You also could get scat mats and cut them up. Top dress with those. I'll show you what they look like. This would keep the squirrels out. So I bought these to put on our outside patio furniture to keep the cats off, which it works beautifully, except for if you have a pillow on your chair and then you set this like on the seat of the chair and the pillow's right here, they will use the top of the pillow instead of the seat. But anyway, so we stopped using these because it deterred us humans from sitting on the chairs as well. Like it was too much effort to take it off and put it back on. But you could cut these in strips, place them around like as top dress. It's not like, it's not going to...
It's uncomfortable. It's not going to hurt
exactly,
them in any way.
But they're clear little spiky plastic things.
They could never pierce the skin.
No, but a squirrel's not going to get through that.
No.
I say that like I have lots of experience with squirrels. We do have squirrels. So far, they haven't been a huge nuisance. Suzanne said, do you get warranties with your trees?
On the biggest ones, yeah.
Yeah.
The ones that Nathan has brought?
I largely think that plant guarantee policies should not exist, like for the most part, but there are exceptions, and there were some when I worked down at the garden center. I worked retail for a lot of years down there. And there were some moments where I'm like, no, we need to guarantee that one for sure.
Yeah.
I know this person knows how to garden. I've been to their garden. They take care of their things. They didn't just take it home and forget to water it, that kind of deal. Yeah, we will replace that because something was probably wrong with the tree. I mean, I've gotten a hold of, case in point, the lavender this year. I never asked to have the lavender replaced. The company did replace it one of the 3 times I bought it. And I never asked for it, though.
Your mom probably did, though, because she was the one that was kind of brokering the deal.
I think that she sent them pictures and just said, this is what arrived. And they were like,
Yeah.
oh, let us send out new stuff.
Yeah.
The new stuff looked exactly like the last batch.
But that's a little bit different because it's an entire batch. Like, you're an experienced gardener. So here's why that's different. That you bought all these plants kind of your mom bought them sight unseen because it was under the Andrews umbrella.
Yeah.
So she bought them sight unseen from a grower. They come in, and the second you see them, you're like, oh, this is not the way this plant is supposed to look. And that happens where you're like, this has mites or it has aphids or whatever. And so Andrews will ask for a refund or will ask for the plants to be sent again without bugs or whatever the case is. That's a totally normal thing because it's like you can see the whole shipment has a problem.
Right.
That's not the same as a customer coming in and buying something.
I suppose.
Because you have an opportunity as a customer to look at the plant, and if you're buying it in the condition that it's currently in, you're sort of putting your stamp of approval on it, saying like, I recognize I want this plant because it looks good and I'm going to take it home and plant it.
Yeah.
If it doesn't look good, you shouldn't be taking it home. So I think that's why that's a little bit different.
Sure. I just want to make sure that I'm always thinking like, okay, so
it's not hypocritical because
Right.
you didn't have the opportunity to see what the plants look like.
No.
You bought them assuming they were going to look good.
Right.
And then
3
they came
times.
in not looking good.
Yeah.
Not looking the way that plant should look or kind of like on the way out.
Yeah.
And gardeners can kind of know
Right.
when you look at a plant. So,
Yeah.
but largely it is abused. I mean, like, remember that one time we were going to Home Depot and somebody had like 3 or 4 arborvitaes in a shopping cart?
Yeah.
They're taking them in and we're like, oh, it's so funny.
It's like whatever you buy to replace those with, they're also going to die. I could guarantee that.
Yeah, I saw a video of somebody who they were planting what looked like dead arborvitaes, and the caption was something like, I bought these and then we went to Europe for a vacation and I hired somebody to water them and they obviously didn't, but we paid good money and we're going to plant these anyway. But it's like they were in B&B.
Oh.
So like, I don't know what you were thinking buying them prior to going on vacation and then even hiring somebody to water them. That's a tricky thing.
Yeah.
We know that
Oh,
when we get B&B stuff.
Yep.
We can keep B&B alive, but we know what we're doing. If you're just a regular person that is maybe closer to a beginner, you could kill that really easily. So I don't know. In those cases, it would be weird to send them back because like, well, you bought a B&B arborvitae from us.
Right.
Like that tree is trying to die.
Right.
You know,
Currently.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can stop it from dying, but
Yeah. It's a squirrely subject for me.
Yeah.
A little bit. Okay, next video was last pumpkin harvest. There were so many. So we had, on the low end estimate, 1,018 pumpkins. We did not count all the little Jack B. Littles because there was...
hundreds.
Oh, yeah. There was so many Jack B. Littles. And we did not count any of the little baby gourds, those little Tennessee dancing gourds, because I think there's a ton more out there. And there's still some on the vines. I'm going to go back through probably tomorrow or the next day and just look through to make sure that we, got everything that's ripe. And then we're going to start cleaning them out. But I couldn't have asked for a better return on the effort that we put into that project, which really in the end was pretty minimal. I mean, the setup and all of that took some time, but the whole season, it was just kind of hands off. It was awesome. Aline said, great job. Enjoyed watching the kids help. Yeah, the kids they hung on for the entire day. They love to be out there during projects like that. I think it feels festive to them. We always go get lunch. We hang out with Nana and Papa when we can. And just like, there's treats and all that kind of stuff. And they're good workers, both of them.
Yeah.
Like Samantha ended up laying on the front of the gator for like the better part of the afternoon, but Benjamin held on for the
Benjamin
whole day.
gets distracted by birds.
Yeah, he does get a little distracted by birds, but you know what? Every single pumpkin that they picked up and or stacked was one less that I had to.
Yeah.
I think it's good. I think it's good. That's what I grew up doing. I think it builds a strong work ethic, and I think that's important. Karen said, amazing fun watching your family harvest with so much joy. What's the total count for both harvests? So 1,018. plus. Deanna said, Samantha was the star in this show. Did she sleep great that night? She sleeps great every night.
Yeah, she does.
She's a 10 plus hour sleep girl. Like
Yeah.
if she goes to bed late, like at 10, she'll sleep until 10.
Yeah.
If she goes to bed at 9, she would sleep probably until 10. And she'll say, what was the phrase? Always I love sleeping.
Yeah, that's right.
Always I love sleeping. Or she'll be like, you know how much I love to sleep.
Well, she sleeps so much that I looked it up because I was like slightly concerned, I guess, because it seems like a lot of sleep. And it says for her age, she should be sleeping like between, I think it was like 10 and 13 hours a day.
She gets it. Well, and she was a great napper.
Yeah, she was.
It was kind of, it was a gift.
Yeah, it was.
It was a gift because we had a lot going on, and we had Benjamin that we wanted to be able to spend time with too, and like one-on-one time with, and work and all the other chores we have going on around here. And Samantha was not the easiest toddler. Like she was pretty demanding of time and all that. I mean, I think they all are to a certain extent, but she was a little bit more than Benjamin was in that department. So to have her take a nice long afternoon nap, it was like, now is our time to shine. We can go out and get whatever we need to get done. And she's getting her sleep. Sometimes we had to go wake her up because it'd be like 6 p.m.
Yeah, that's true. I forgot about that.
She would go right back to bed like 2 or 3 hours later.
She didn't care.
No. Blake said, your children are growing up so quickly, both so happy while working. Question, is Paul and Bethany worried about job security considering how helpful your kiddos are becoming? I don't think, probably not. There's plenty to do. Gladys said, Laura, isn't there a thing with your lights? If one light is burnt out, the whole strand won't work. Something about them being connected in a series might be worth a try to fiddle with them to see if you got them working. So my incandescents that I have, the old school ones, you can have bulbs missing and have the whole strand still work. It was my fuse. I actually ordered some fuses. You can, like for $5, you can get a whole box full of fuses. And I did some fiddling with them and got them to turn on long enough to compare. And the ones that you had, the new strand, are a little bit brighter and a little bit more cool to me than the old ones. I think I could do it if we ordered a bunch of white, like opaque white, and swapped all the yellows out. I think that's what's throwing me off so bad. Yellow does not belong in a Christmas light strand to me.
We'll do it. We'll make it happen.
Angela said, Samantha works so hard. That's so cute. I'm not shocked Benjamin is driving. I did it at his age. Tractors, that's awesome. Yeah, he's a great driver. And he drives all over the place.
Yeah, he drives alone now.
Yeah, he'll say, hey, Mama, can I go out and look for birds by wherever? And he's just not allowed to go on the road by the hill. And he knows that. So he just tools around the rest of the property. But also,
he's not the kind of kid that will push the limits.
No,
he's like the people pleaser. And he wants us to be proud of him.
He's got a conscience to be the band. Yeah,
he's got a big time conscience.
So, the kids have very limited tablet time, and we've got it pretty curated, like already. But if there's even a whiff of like something that might have sounded like it could have been a swear word, it probably wasn't, because I don't know how he would get that.
It's not. Well, it's just depending on what you consider, a swear word.
He'll come and be like, Mama, can you block this video?
Yeah.
Or he knows that I don't like gross things. Like I don't want any, like especially this time of year, I don't want any like extra blood and gore and like dark things. I don't like that. I don't think that's a good thing to expose kids to. And so if there's anything like that, like extra over the top zombie sort of situation, he'll come and have me block that.
Yeah.
I have no worries with that kid.
When I was a kid, my mom hated the word sucks.
Yeah.
And she hated crap and
stupid.
No, that wasn't one.
Oh, I thought that was one.
I think it was like freaking she didn't like.
Yeah.
I think she just didn't like to hear us say like, oh, that was so freaking stupid or something, just kind of sound, I don't know. But yeah, there was a lot of words like that my mom was like, I don't like it.
Yeah. Well, it just, doesn't sound awesome.
What's funny though is that every time, not every time, but a lot of times that I'll say something like that, like sucks, I'll think of my mom.
Yeah,
think like,
is my mom in the room?
Yeah, I shouldn't say this around her.
That's so funny. The last part of that question, do you mean warmer LED? I know what you mean. A lot of newer LED have a cool bluish hue as opposed to the old school warmer lights. Yeah, that is exactly what it is. It's like warmer, more muted, more like, it almost looks like a picture that's like kind of got a fuzzy kind of,
sure.
What's that called? Filter.
Yeah.
Like that's the kind of look I like. The last video was planting a random assortment of beautiful plants. And it's just a gator full. Like I said, I've been making an effort to go through our pile in the back and just work through it. So I grabbed up, I think, 3 different varieties of hydrangea. There was some Stokecia, Stokes Aster, and then some Veronica white wands. And then I think we planted that Alaskan cedar behind the fireplace.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Rebecca said, do you think you'll do a best of 2025 video? Probably.
We should.
Yeah.
We'll wait till there's like a really crappy day out. That was another word my mom didn't like. But we'll wait till there's a crappy day outside. And
I'm texting your mom.
Yeah, let her know.
Yeah. Yeah, those kind of videos are great for crummy weather days. Debbie said, what happens to a bush that has a lack of iron? Will they die? I have azalea that looks like that. They could eventually if it's a severe enough problem. What will happen first is you'll notice the leaf tissue stays yellow, the veining in the leaf stays dark green, and then if it doesn't get corrected, the edges of the leaves will start to burn, and then that burn will just continue to take over the leaf until it can just completely fry up your plant if it's not getting enough iron. Chelated iron has worked great for us.
Yep.
Philip said, hard pound soil question. Couldn't you introduce some worms or other burrowing creatures to help break up the soil? They're here and they're coming hard. The areas that we've worked on, and even that the hard pan area up front that we've been digging in to plant the boxwoods and the hydrangeas, I find worms in there a lot, especially right after the rain. It's crazy.
Yeah. It's got to be just compacted because of like the lawnmower, just driving over it, constantly mowing it.
I suppose, yeah, there was grass there, so it could be that. But yeah, they are here and they're getting more and more, which is so exciting. Julia said, your hollyhocks look so good. Do you treat them? I tried them from seed and the flowers were beautiful, but the foliage got rust and looked terrible, so I took them out. Ours get rust too, especially if we don't go in and cut them back. So right when they're done blooming, we go and cut them all the way back to the soil, and then they flush back new, fresh growth that doesn't seem to be affected by rust like the earlier flush is affected. And that's how we deal with it. And some years are worse than others too.
Do you put any plants in categories, because I do this, that just look really poor for like a good portion of the season or need a lot of attention?
Yeah.
Because I feel myself doing that more and more, and hollyhocks are one of those where it's just like, it's absolutely not worth it to plant things like that in the garden. No matter how beautiful it is, it looks so trashy for more time than it looks nice.
When did they look trashy this year? I feel like we did the best on those this year that we have.
Maybe.
We got after it really early. If you
Maybe
leave them
I'm just
too
thinking
long,
in years past.
Yeah, if you leave them too long or don't cut them back.
Tulips are another one of those things.
Oh, tulips are the worst.
I feel like I want to treat them as annuals. And once they...
You know what? You can, and I would love that. But you have to plant them.
But they look, again, tulips are one of those things that you have to wait for the foliage to die back. And they look terrible for longer than they look good.
I feel like I'm not giving you the best representation of tulips, though, because a lot of our bulb planting happened prior to flower beds filling up. And you really should, if you're doing it in the proper order, you do your trees and evergreens, larger shrubs, smaller shrubs, perennials, annuals, and bulbs. Annuals and bulbs last. So you're tucking in your bulbs in with other perennials that are growing up in the spring kind of around where the bulbs are. So it kind of masks that foliage a little bit. If you're really, what's the word, good about like intermingling stuff and planning for that, you can really avoid.
Yeah, like sure.
When you do it the way we did and we had all this big open space and I just plant a massive amount of tulips, then you're looking at a massive amount of dead leaves and nothing else in the flower bed.
Yeah.
So I feel like that's not a fair shake necessarily.
But there's other things like I would put geraniums in that category too. Like when we do garden tours, there's so many times where geraniums have kind of like died back or they just look brown and not good. And it seems like they're looking bad for longer than they're looking good. And I don't like that.
Agree to disagree.
Whereas like, okay, for example, like a hydrangea, there's really it looks, I guess you could say bad in the very beginning of the season, but it starts to develop leaves pretty early on. And it's just a bush until you see the panicles come out, or blooms, whatever you'd call them. And then they just look good all year long. There's no like huge lull for a hydrangea where it looks bad, unless it's not the right spot and it burns.
Yeah.
In which case it's not the right place for that hydrangea to go. But there's other plants like that. I would much rather fill up the garden with things like that really never have a down period until you reach the end of fall, in which case at that point, everything, all your annuals are dying, perennials need to be cut back. So I don't know.
Yeah, I hear you. Samantha said, it seems like you have a really long growing season. I'm curious, when are your first and last expected frost dates? I'm trying to gauge how early in the spring and how late in the fall you're planting. Well, this year has been beautiful. The garden's still, like, the annuals are hanging on.
Yeah.
I mean, here we are, middle of October, and I'm like, I'm gonna
the
need
10-day looks good too.
I know. I'm gonna
we
need
could
to
hit November.
I know. I need to plant bulbs, but I guess that'd be a great November project.
Yeah.
But let me look up average first frost date. Our average first frost date, based on Old Farmer's Almanac, is October the 4th.
We haven't even come close this year.
Not even close. Average last frost date. Let me look.
That's an average.
Yeah. Well, we've had some early ones. I swear it's those one-off years that just skew the average.
Yeah.
It's kind of like our zone. April 29th says it's our average last frost, which is false. It's usually into May.
Yeah, but yeah.
But every year is a little bit different.
Right.
You just never know exactly.
A couple of years ago, we had a snap frost that was early.
Yeah.
And we basically didn't get a fall.
Right.
Do you remember all
we got
all the
no
leaves
color. Yeah.
on the trees? They just kind of like froze to the tree.
Yeah. And it was a mess.
Yeah, there was no fall color and they wouldn't drop.
Right.
They were just kind of sitting there, and then they kind of dropped like all winter long.
Yes, I do remember that.
That was the worst.
That really was. Yeah. Dang, I forgot about that. Tracy said, does the black lace elderberry die back to the ground during the winter? I planted a few this spring and was wondering what to expect. They don't die back all the way to the ground. Usually what we do, if you want to keep them size controlled, you can go in and cut them like late winter, early spring. Wait a minute. Let me double check though. I don't think that's correct. Hold on. I think you need to prune it right after it's done blooming. It's just that some years I don't care about that. I don't care about the blooms. I just want to size control it sometimes. Blooms on old wood. So the time you'd want to prune it, if you need to, is immediately after it's done blooming in the spring. So that would be your time to cut it back if you need to. Typically with ours, we leave them alone because we like the blooms and they're quite the show. So we've put them in areas, for the most part, that they can get to their full size and just do their thing. I went at that very confidently. Sometimes I feel like reel back, like, no, I don't think that was right. Yeah. XOXO said, I really want to start gardening, but I have the worst fear of spiders. I used to live in a house with a black widow infestation. My stomach watching the pumpkin harvesting video. Is it something you eventually get over? I don't know. I mean, for a person that has a legitimate fear of spiders, I don't know. Do you get over those kinds of things? Like, do you have to go to spider therapy?
Well, I don't like spiders. But I guess I'm not like fearful in that way.
It doesn't keep you out of the pumpkin patch.
No, it doesn't. And, I had a job installing cable for like 10 years.
Oh, you probably saw more than I ever have.
I crawled underneath people's houses.
Yeah.
So I never liked it.
Yeah.
But
knowing black widows, they don't want you to be near them and they're not aggressive. They're not going to come running after you. It's like
if you just wear gloves.
Yeah, if you wear gloves, you're fine. And the kids know. I mean, that's kind of like what we talked about earlier. Where you're raised and you're raised to think about certain things, and they think about tipping it up and looking underneath it for black widows before they pick it. And Benjamin would let me know if he found one. We didn't find a single black widow during that second harvest. Not one. I don't know if the rest of them got the memo and took off, or if it got cold enough maybe. I don't know what black widows do in the cold. I mean, it hasn't been that cold. Like low 40s.
Probably just like hibernate, or maybe they die and then eggs hatch in the spring. I don't know.
I don't know either. Should look that up.
Yeah.
All right, you guys, last group of questions is from last week's recap video. Mrs. Courtney said, Laura, do you rotate when you're growing your garlic in your raised beds? I was told they harbor diseases in the soil and rotating crops would help. I do try to rotate more for what they take from the soil. There's different crops that take different nutrients from the soil, and some crops are really intense on the soil, like they utilize a lot of nutrients. Any allium crop, onions and garlic, will do that, shallots, that kind of thing. So it's a good idea to rotate where you're putting them. So I do try to do that. They don't get to be rotated that far from their original location. But if I do this raised bed here one year, I'll try to do it in a raised bed over here the following year and just kind of try to dot them around. So I've saved one raised bed is completely empty, and I've saved that for garlic. N0723 said, well, you mentioned pulling out all the boxwoods in the entire west side and replacing them with the new gen boxwoods. Yep. Are you not concerned you might have the same issues years from now, especially since you haven't tested them for long? I recall the excitement you had for Sprinter Boxwood. I know I was so excited when they were put in. I realize you do this for a living, so cost isn't an issue to replace them, but for many of us it is. Totally, I get that. For those of us who couldn't afford to change out boxwoods, what would you suggest to help with the issue you're having with the Sprinters? Well, from what we've learned, if you're dealing with spider mites, you got to spray them. And I think that's something that we've never been great at doing really consistently because there's just a lot of them. So I would do that, and then also prune them a lot. And that's what we've learned recently, and I didn't know that. To go after them all the time. And it's something we could do on the west side now because it's shady enough, I think. For the most part, we could do that and probably get away with it, at least on this end.
Yeah. But there's so much mite damage at this point
Yeah.
that I feel like they're far
ugly
gone.
now.
They're
I
just,
mean, from when you're close up. If you're looking from far away, they're fine. But if you get up close, you're like, oh my, what's wrong with these plants?
They just don't look good. I think in answer to the question, I'm hopeful about the independence specifically, not the freedom necessarily. The winter gems that we've been using are better against mites, but that's not we haven't found that to just be like the best boxwood.
It just had been better than Sprinter.
It's better than Sprinter
at holding up to mite damage. Yeah.
But the independence looks like it might be better than the green winter gem.
And the reason why we think this is we've got freedoms at the end of the east side of the barn. I planted 2 freedom boxwoods, and then I did the ring of independence around the front because I didn't have enough independence to go all the way. And so we've got a freedom and an independence planted side by side. Freedom has mite damage, independence is not showing anything. So it's like a side by side example, which is like it never happens.
At this point, you should pull those freedoms and just throw a couple more independence.
I should. Yeah. Although it's kind of interesting, like
to see them side by side.
To see them side by side.
Well, you can still plant them somewhere else. They just wouldn't be side by side.
Yeah, but it's just kind of fun to say, like, that's been fun too, to look at the growth rate.
Yeah.
Freedoms definitely grow faster, by a long shot. And Independence puts out like a few little,
But you can tell that all the growth is just straight up.
Yeah.
And if there was any snow load on that, it would fall over in a second. Whereas I'd rather have a slower growing boxwood that's more like stout. And so whatever snow it gets will just kind of hold on to and it won't fall over.
Right.
Like gives you enough time to go out there and brush it off.
Right. Jeannie said, thank you, Laura. Excellent recap. I would wish to cut back a yellow twig dogwood. Would I do that in the fall or the spring? I would do it in the spring so you can enjoy the branches in the wintertime. If that's not an issue, if it's somewhere where you don't see it, you could cut it back pretty much at any point. They're really tough. Nina said, I just bought my very first home. I brought some potted hostas, hydrangeas, and hellebores with me. This house has some hostas and hellebores in the ground. Is there a difference in how plants react when planted from pots to the ground versus transplanted from one spot of the yard to another? Not that I know of. I mean, just give them water and make sure they don't dry out, and you should be good. Is now a good time to do that in 7B? Absolutely. If I want to move some plants around the garden, yes, now is a great time. Amy said, do you still have perennial alliums in your garden? I've one called Medusa, but it flops so badly. Can you recommend a different variety? I love the strappy leaves. Yeah, so we've got Serendipity, which has been a phenomenal performer. And then I recently planted, I think it's called Bobblehead, but I don't have that much experience with it. Let me double check that that's what it's called. Yeah, Bobblehead is a newer allium, came out from Proven Winners this year, and it's a little bit of a bigger, more open sort of plant, just in my limited experience. It has a lighter colored flower. So if you're looking for something more compact and dense and really full of flower, Serendipity is awesome. And then the Bobblehead, if you need something a little taller, they've got a little bit of a wider leaf too than the Serendipity. But I just have those 2 varieties. A. Ruiz said, hi, Laura and Aaron. Thanks for taking the time to answer my questions. I know you've answered a lot of questions about systemic, but I have another one. Can I treat my tree in the fall instead of the spring and get the same result? I have a birch that the hummingbirds love, so I plant a lot of salvia below it. I don't want to affect them or the bees. Thank you for all your expertise. Have a wonderful week. Yeah, I would say that would be completely fine. And then the tree will take that all up, and there'll probably not be any present in the spring, I'm guessing, that the salvia can take up. I think that would be fine.
Yeah.
I mean, you're still running, if it's, you're wanting to apply it right around the base of the tree though. So as long as you're planting your stuff out from it a little bit,
I mean,
it's going to be present.
I've heard a lot of people talk about it, and it's a little bit of a bugaboo, but I think doing a systemic is so much better than like a foliar application.
Oh, yeah.
That's where the problem is.
Yeah.
Like, do not do a foliar application anywhere near, bloom time.
Yeah.
But doing systemic, I don't think it's as bad as a lot of people think it is.
Especially if you time it right. And I think thinking through that like you did is a really good approach. Cheryl said, can you help me to understand phrasing on Proven Winners website? I live in Arizona, zone 9B/10, and was looking to refresh potted plants. If an annual plant gives a zone, but then says except in zone 9 and 10, does that mean it's a perennial in those warmer zones? If it says except in zone 9 and 10, an annual plant, except in, then it should be fine. I had to reread that to understand.
You'd probably find most of the annuals would be perennials.
Well, we have a lot of the Superbena come back. The unplugged white salvia is like a perennial for us. The Kufia comes back and doesn't even come back from the mother plant. Like it seeds itself a little bit in the same spot. It doesn't spread around though. So I think that would mean you're fine to plant it as almost a perennial. I don't know what you do with them in the winter though. Do you shear them back?
I don't know.
I don't live in a zone 9 or 10, so I can't speak to experience on that one or from experience. Julie said, my mother, born in 1919, grew up in the Badlands of North Dakota, where/when there was a bounty on magpie wings.
Oh.
Is there a bounty on them in your area? No, there is not.
I can see there being one, though.
Yeah, if
they're
that was
a nuisance.
Yes, they are. There's one still pulling out. I replanted the iris today. It's a one iris. And I saw the bird pulling it out. You were there too. You saw it messing with that iris rhizome.
Yeah.
It's just one of them in a bunch. It's right beneath the blue spruce at the end of the North Garden berm. And it's taunting me. I actually looked up in the tree today. I'm like, are you watching me from up there doing this? Like having to replant?
Probably.
Wonder if somebody else is messing with me.
No.
I wonder if it's just the bird. The bird's messing with me. Ugh. It's one of the Elizabethan age iris, and I really want it to live, but I don't know. I don't know if it's going to. It looks pretty dry. Last question is from Linda. What about the row of shrubs over by the parking area along the fence? Are they a fail? Yes. Those are green towers. We're taking them all out, and those can burn on the fire, in the fire, for all I care. I don't think that they should go to another garden.
No, I think they've got mites on them.
They do. They're afflicted.
They just need to be thrown away.
I've got 3, 6, 9, 12 behind the Hartley. You know, the 3?
Yeah.
And
pull them up.
I think I'm going to pull them out.
Do something else.
Yeah. I don't like the growth habit. I think they're not a good looking plant. They look okay in presentation in containers at the garden center.
Yeah.
And maybe I'm not giving them a fair shake and I need to let them grow and prune them. But I don't know. If a plant fails that hard, that fast.
Well, if they get mites that quick, it's probably not worth it.
Not worth it. No. I think it's going to look better just to have those gone. Anyway, that is it. On that note, on that positive, cheerful note, that is it for this week's recap video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you're having a great start to your week, and we will see you in the next one. Bye.